In this video we will see introduction to Java. First let's see how modern computer languages have evolved. If we start with C programming language is considered to be the first modern computer language which was powerful, efficient and structured, and it was easy to learn as compared to languages that existed before C. And if this was the case, then what was the need for C++ then? Now let's see why was C++ invented. As we know, when computer was invented, programming was done by manually operating the binary machine. This method was good if our program is just few instructions long, and thus assembly language was invented in which instead of directly using machine instructions, symbolic representations were used. Again, this was only good and manageable up to a level of complexity. Similarly, many other languages were invented to handle complexity, and C was one of those. This C was structured programming language, and programmers can write very complex programs very easily using this C programming. But again, if the complexity goes beyond 30 to 50,000 lines of code, it is very difficult to manage that code, and hence C++ was invented, which can handle such complicated programs. And C++ was not a new language, but it extended C by adding object-oriented features. So you can say that C was a structured programming language, and C++ was object-oriented language. At that time, C++ was the perfect language. Then why was Java created? Now, as earlier we see that languages like C and C++ succeeded because they solved the complexity issues of that time. The success of Java was due to evolution of World Wide Web and the Internet. Initially, Java was not created for the Internet. Its main motive was to create a platform-independent language which can then be used to create softwares for embedded electronics devices like microwave oven or remote control, and like these. These wide range of devices had wide range of CPUs, and if C++ was used, it required a different compiler for each and every device, which was a very expensive and time-consuming task. So a language was required that could produce code that would run on a variety of CPUs, and this led to the creation of Java. This was all happening in early 90s, and at that time, coincidentally, World Wide Web and Internet was introduced. As we know, Internet is a network of computers and devices across the globe which are linked together, and again these computers can be based on a variety of CPUs and operating systems. So the requirement for portable and platform independent language became a necessity, and hence Java, that was embedded programming language, quickly switched to the Internet programming language. So it was Internet that led to Java's success. Now let's discuss more about Java. So using Java we can create two types of programs. First is applications. This is a program that runs on our computer under an operating system, and we can think of it as similar programs that can be created using C or C++. And the second type is applets. Then applet is a Java program that gets downloaded across the network and then can be executed by our web browser. Now, prior to Java, usually users did not download executable programs over the network, as there was risk of viral infection. However, Java achieves this protection by confining the Java program to execute in Java execution environment, and then not allowing it to access other parts of the computer. Hence, applets can be downloaded easily without any fear of virus. So this was the two types of programs which can be created using Java. Now let's see how all these things, that is portability, platform independent, or security, is achieved in Java. All this is possible because of bytecode. What happens is, when we compile our program, when we compile Java program, it does not produce any executable code. What it generates is this bytecode. This bytecode is then executed by Java runtime system, which is nothing but Java virtual machine, which is JVM. Now, as this bytecode does not execute on any platform or CPU directly, it is platform independent, and then all we need is a different Java virtual machine for different platforms. So this is how logic is. So what we have is a Java source code, then it is compiled to bytecode, and then we have is JVM, which is Java virtual machine, and under this JVM we have then operating systems like Windows, Linux, or Solaris, or any other operating system, and finally we have the CPU, so Intel, or it can be Arc, or any CPU. Now our bytecode is only dependent upon JVM, and then we have different Java virtual machines for these platforms, and using this architecture, our Java source code or bytecode gives the functionality of platform independence, and this is how the Java succeeded. Let's see how to download and install Java. So go to google.com and search for Java JDK. Then here click on this link, Java SC download. And here you can see the latest version of Java which is available. So click on this Java, and apart from this there is IDE is also available, so you can download this IDE as well. So for now, just click on this Java, and accept the license agreement, and once you have accepted this, now you can download your file for your version. For example, if you are using Windows 64-bit, then download this exe file, and once you have downloaded this, you can simply double click this executable file and install the Java. So for example, my Java is installed at this path. I have installed this in my C drive. So when you open this, you can see the two folders are there. One is JRE, which is Java runtime environment, and another is JDK, which is Java development kit. So JRE is just simply what we say is our Java virtual machine, and using JDK we create and compile our Java programs. So inside JDK you can see there is a bin folder, and this bin folder there are commands Java C and Java. Using Java C we create bytecode, so we compile our Java source code, and the Java C compiler will compile that into the bytecode, and then we have Java using which we can execute our bytecode. So when we run this Java C and Java from our command prompt, first we need to set environment variable for this path, so that when we write Java C, our operating system can identify that where this exactly is the exact location of these files. So for that, go to system, or you can go to my computer properties, and from here go to advanced system settings and then environment variables. So here in environment variable, create a variable. Either if it is already present, then you can edit that, or create a variable and then give the name as path, and the value is this path. So this is how to set the environment variable. Give the variable name as path and the value pointing to this bin directory. And once you are done with this, to check whether it is installed correctly or not, you can go to command prompt and simply type javac. So if it is installed correctly, it will show all these options which are available with javac. And if the installation is not done or environment variable is not there, the command prompt will simply give you a message that javac is not recognized command. So this is how we can install and download Java. Let's discuss more about Java. If we program in Java, we use object-oriented concepts, and while C was structured programming language. So in structured programming, programs are written in series of linear steps, and this is also called process-oriented model. However, if we talk about object-oriented concepts, the first thing we should understand is abstraction. So abstraction is the best way to handle complexity, and to understand this, let's take example of a car. If we actually see a car, it is composed of thousands of parts, and however we think it as just a well-defined object having behavior that it can take us from one place to another when we drive it. So this concept is that we all use car without knowing the details of how engine works or how the braking system works. So it is simply an example of abstraction. Now we can manage this abstraction using or by classifying objects into hierarchies. So for example, car is one object, and then inside car there are several other objects like music system, steering, and many other, and then which in turn can have sub-objects. So using this approach, we can manage the level of complexity by dividing various things into objects. And the same logic we can apply to computer programming as well, by converting the traditional programs into objects using abstraction. So this is one thing which is abstraction. Next is encapsulation. Encapsulation is like a wrapper or a layer that prevents both the code as well as the data from being accessed by other code which is outside that layer. So if we take the same example of steering of a car, all the exact internal working of steering is hidden from us, and what all we have is just a steering wheel, which is the only interface through which we can access the steering functionality. If we talk about Java, in Java this encapsulation is achieved using classes. And when we create these classes in Java, we specify code and data for a particular class, and both these code and data are called as member of the class. So the purpose of class is to encapsulate the implementation details, and as we discussed for steering wheel, similarly in class also provides interface through which external users can interact. So this concept will get more clear when we start creating classes. Next is inheritance. So inheritance is a process through which one object acquires properties of another object. So to understand this, let's say we have one object, dog, and dog is one object which will have some properties. So let's take another object which is a mammal. So if we see that dog is a type of mammal, so it is one classification under the mammal category. We can say that mammal is a more generic object than a dog. So what inheritance is that dog will have some properties of its own, as well as it will acquire all the properties which a mammal can have. So if we see dog has all the properties of mammal, as well as it has properties which a dog can have. Again, let's move one more level, and let's say there is one object, animal. Now animal is again more generic representation and than these mammal and dog. So mammal will have all the properties what an animal can have, plus it will have some other properties which are specific to a mammal only. Now this dog will have all the properties of animal plus mammal and plus its own properties, and again mammal will have all the properties of animal as well as its own properties. So this is what inheritance is. One class inherits all the properties of its superclass. So this is subclass, this is again subclass of animal, and animal is the superclass. And this is what inheritance is. Now last concept in object oriented is polymorphism. Polymorphism means many forms. Using polymorphism we can create generic interfaces, and using these generic interfaces we can perform similar related activities. To understand this, let's again take the example of a dog, and let's say for this dog object we have provided one interface, smell. So the purpose of interface is simple, that dog will smell something and it will perform some activity. Now what activity dog will perform depends upon the parameter which we pass here, that is what dog will smell. For example, if a dog smells food, it will move towards it, or dog will start salivating, or if it smells something else it will start barking. So the activity, the implementation inside smell depends upon the parameter which we are passing here. But we have provided only the single interface outside the class, and the code outside the class cannot know what exactly is getting performed inside this. So the implementation details is again hidden, and there is one generic interface is provided, and this is what polymorphism is. So one is dog will smell food, again it will smell like something else, and it will perform some different activity. Now these things are different, the activities are different, but we are providing one same interface outside this class, and this is the polymorphism. These are 4 points in object oriented. So all object-oriented programming is based upon these points: abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism. Now let's start creating a program. So simplest program would be to print hello world on the console. So let's create a class hello world. Now one thing to note is that in Java all the code must reside inside a class, and this starts with the word class. Let me write the code first and then I will explain this. I'm creating one method inside this class, and then I'm using this to print hello message on the screen. So we have created the program here, and this will display hello world on the console. And now let's save this file. So here I'm creating a new folder. And let's save the file. So one more thing to note here is that the convention is that the name of the file should be the same as the name of our class. So in this case the name should be hello world.java, and Java is case sensitive, so the H is capital and W is capital as here in the class name, and click on save. Now go to command prompt, and here we will compile this code. So we will use javac to compile this file. So javac and then hello world.java. Now this will create one class file. So you can see that one class file is created, hello world.class, and this is basically the byte representation of this Java file. And now we can run this Java and then hello world, and you can see that the message is displayed here, hello world. Let's see what we did here. So first we created source code hello world.java. Then using Java compiler, which is javac, we created bytecode for this, which is hello world.class. And then using Java interpreter, which is Java, we have run this bytecode on Java virtual machine. So as we discussed that our source code gets converted into bytecode, and then Java virtual machine will execute this bytecode, and this is what we did here. If we try to understand this program, as we discussed that everything in Java is inside a class. So first of all we have declared a class named hello world, and then inside this we have created this main method. Now in Java everything starts with a main method. Whenever we write this Java hello world, so it will first search for this main method, and if this main method is not there in this class, then we cannot run this class file. So Again, we in C also we have one main method which will start execution of our program, and this is the main method here. Now these are three words: public, static and void. So public is using public, any code which is outside this class can access this method. As when we were discussing encapsulation, we have provided this public so that any code, so in this case Java interpreter is accessing this main method. When we use Java hello world, the code outside this class will try to access this main method, and for that reason we have used this public keyword here. Apart from this print line function is there. So the purpose of this function, this will simply print anything which is passed to this method. And the system.out, so system is a class, system is a predefined class, and out is the output stream which is connected to our console in this case. So system is a class, and then out is output stream, and we are calling print line function on that, and using this function it is printing the entire text on the console. Now this word static, we will discuss about this later, but for now you can think of this word static as that when we create classes we can have multiple objects of the class. So for example, I have a class named dog, then I can create multiple objects of that class. And if I want to call any method or anything from a class without creating any object, in that case I have to declare that method as a static one. So it is quite obvious that we are running the Java program, and the first thing that is called is this main method. So it must be static because we haven't created any object before this main method, as this is starting point of our program. So that's why this must be a static. Void means that this method will not return anything, so this is void. And this main method takes one array of string. So if I want to pass some strings while running this program, we can type here with hello world and then followed by any string that we want to pass, that will come inside this array. So in this video we have seen introduction to Java, and then how to install that, then various OOPS concept, and then finally we have created one simple Java program to display one string on the console.